This was her vision, for me, like being in the UFC. She was watching the WEC with a Rod Faber and all those guys and Strike Force, and Brock Lesnar was her favorite fighter. So she was watching all that stuff, man. And I would come home and be like, Mom, what are you watching?
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
May 6th, man. UFC 288, UFC debut. When you returned to fighting just about a year ago, did you envision this happening?
Yeah, I wrote it down on my vision board. I gave myself a time slot of like 2.5 years to make to the UFC.
Okay, so 2.5 years, you got into it in a year, man. That's like, it's so fast. You know what I mean? Like, did it feel fast to you, or did it feel like a long year?
It felt long, even though it wasn't. It still ain't even a year yet, But it still felt pretty long, the whole process and just fighting and uh, having that contract dispute like from October all the way to March. It felt long, bro. It really did, but it wasn't, in reality.
Yeah, man, you've just had some incredible performances since then, man. Since your return, all first round knockouts. I've watched probably most of them, and yeah, man. One thing that sticks out about you and your style is that you go forward and you attack,
Yeah.
and you are fast for a heavyweight. Well, you have power as well. You know what I mean? We know that. But yeah, man. And also another thing that sticks out is that pretty much every guy you fought was just way bigger than you. And
Right.
you've handled that exceptionally, man. Like, what is the intangible for you? You know what I mean? To be able to handle such taller, longer, bigger heavyweights.
Man, I would just have to say, God-given athletic ability, uh, speed, explosive power. Those are my gifts. Where I'm able to capitalize on bigger men. Those are the gifts for me, man. And now just kind of adding on to all of that God-given stuff, to where I'm complete mixed martial artist because I've been training myself. All of those fights I trained myself. I didn't have anybody. So now that I'm in the UFC with this platform, like getting into a real good gym, a home gym where I'm comfortable with, and that's the next steps for us. But just those God-given abilities, man, that I thank God for. That's what gives me the edge, and those are the tools why I was so successful in all my 5 wins.
Your first fight when you returned, it was a head kick knockout, man. Like, you don't see that at heavyweight. I don't remember even the last time I've seen a head kick knockout at heavyweight. Like, is kicking a big part of your arsenal?
It can be. It really can. The team I'm working with now kind of don't want me kicking for some reason. I guess they may be able to grab hold to a leg, or but man, I have really big legs and I got a lot of power, so it's like kicking can really be another tool for me to use, and I want to be able to kick and chop guys down, but yeah, Cody Beck's he's like a 6'3" heavyweight, I'm only 5'11", and I was able to get it up there, and I can you know I can get it up there to about where it has a lot of power, probably to a guy that's about 6'4.5", if I was to take some yoga classes, who knows? But yeah, Pilates, bro, or something like that. But yeah, I want to start utilizing a lot more kicks, and I will. I'll eventually, put that, add that as a tool and a weapon in my game for sure.
Well, as you go further in your UFC career, we never know what we will see from you. I mean, we might see another one, and people say like, "Hey, did he? Yeah, go back to early 2022, and you'll see
Right.
that he can throw those up." Um, your last fight, man, the title defense against Ja'Cory Savage. It was a rematch. The first fight, you beat him in 49 seconds. The second fight, you beat him in 44 seconds. Was that the goal, to knock him out much faster than the first fight? Because, man,
It,
that's a hefty goal. 49 seconds is pretty fast already.
it was, man, and I said it in the press conference Friday night. So I'm gonna knock him out faster tomorrow night. They was doing so much talking, man, and I just I don't like them in it. Well, I didn't like him in his camp. No issues now. I wish him the best. And that gym, McSweeney's gym, I wish those guys the best. But yeah, man, just talked too much crap, man, and they just didn't respect me as a champion. They didn't respect me the first fight, and they just thought it was a fluke. So it was my goal to go in there to like make you realize, understand, make you realize that this was no fluke, and that you will never be able to beat me. And you took a mistake by calling me out, and your team convincing you to take this fight. And you know he may not be the same again. I mean, to get knocked out like that again, like that bad. I mean, because they were talking about him being the UFC prospect, and he was 2-0 in LFA, and undefeated, and this 6'6" athlete. Like I even heard a reporter say Jacory Savage is the most superior athlete. I'm like, man, this dude played offensive line. I played running back. I'm 5'11". I can dunk a basketball. I can run a 4.4. Like, what do you mean he's a more superior athlete? Like, I was pissed off. Like, bro, you disrespecting my genetics over here. Like, nah. But that was definitely the goal to beat him even worse and KO him even faster. But yeah, man, I hope wish Savage well and hope he bounced back. But I did tell you that you may be champion of peak, but it'll be after I left.
Well, you're gone, man. So it gives him an opportunity, what I mean, to chase you, I guess. I guess it could benefit him, moving forward with his career to
For sure.
take those losses, get those reality checks. Because, in this sport, everybody gets a reality check. And I noticed that you do have one loss on your record, your first fight in 2014. Why did you step away after that fight, for so long?
Just my mom, man. My mom got me into the sport, and the passing of my mom, I just kind of wasn't. I wasn't there again. I just didn't. I didn't love the sport. I didn't love it. After that, but uh, then I moved from Alabama to Austin, Texas. So I had a lot going on. I was doing a lot, man. Just trying to find out who I was and just exploring other options in life. And that's why almost 9 years or 8 years I was gone from the game. And this was her vision, for me, like being in the UFC. She was watching the WEC with a Rod Faber and all those guys and Strike Force, and Brock Lesnar was her favorite fighter. So she was watching all that stuff, man. And I would come home and be like, Mom, what are you watching? And like she's like, you don't want to play football anymore, but this is what you're going to do right here. Like, come sit down right here. Come sit down with me on the couch. And I'm like, okay. And she's showing me, a Rod Faber. I think he was fighting Dominic Cruz or Jose Aldo. And I was like, dang, okay. She was like, yeah, this is what you're going to do. And she said, you're going to go to the UFC. And I was like, all right, cool.
And now you are here, man. Like you.
Yeah.
So your mom must be like a big driving force for you. You know what I mean? That's pushing you, and of course, you want to provide for your family and you want to chase your dreams and all of that. But having your mom like kind of like put that in you, plant
Yeah.
that seed, it makes a difference.
It does, man. Like I said, I wish she was still with us. She passed away, but that's why I stepped away from the game. But I wish she was here to see it. I know she's watching and seeing it now, but I just kind of wish she was here physically to be like, I told you, even though you didn't know it or didn't think it or anybody, I told you would be there. And I just kind of wish she was here physically to see it. But she does still drive me. It's a goal it's a goal that's mine now. Even though she started it for seeing it first. So still thinking about my mom every time I'm, doing things is still key for me for sure.
Yeah, your mom is definitely not a casual fan. If she was watching WEC in the Strike Force days,
Bro, right? You don't hear that from a female. That's
no,
a mom. Like some people, some fight fans might don't even know what that is. Like WC,
yeah.
like that was a while ago. UFC bought it out,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
So during that time, what I mean, away from the sport, I watched another interview that you did, and I believe you signed to Arena Football, or you're playing football. Was that what was going on?
Yeah, yeah. I signed a professional arena contract to play with the Vermont Bucks in 2017. So I left Texas and went up to Vermont. Cold, a lot of snow, man, a lot of white people, but it was cool, great experience. I met some great people, but uh, football just wasn't. It wasn't something I loved.
What like why did you fall out of love with football? Was there
Oh,
something?
I never loved it. Yeah, I was always good at football. But my dad's playing pro ball, and my cousin's getting ready for the draft tonight at the University of Nevada. Like when you're a when your last name's Smith and you're a male, like this is what you do. You play football, you play basketball, you play baseball, and you do it very well. But for me, it was just like I kind of always wanted to be. I fell in love with horror movies when I was like 5 years old. So I'm a huge horror fan. So that's my number. That drives me the most. Like I love horror more than I do fighting. So I always wanted to be the first black Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's always my favorite. Will always be my favorite. So I was walking around like trying to be Bruce Lee instead of worrying about playing football, even though I was good at it. So that's why when my mom told me about mixed martial arts, it kind of went. I didn't fight her back on it. I was like, oh shit, I get to really be Bruce Lee now. So I just never loved the game, but I was just always good at
Well, you get to make your own horror movies inside the cage
it.
now, right? Basically.
Yeah, inside. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Inside the cage, I'm definitely writing. It's definitely a caution tape, and it's pretty messy for sure. But even also outside the cage, I'm doing some writing, and I have a horror podcast as well and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm still heavily active into the horror genre, and I'm always on top of all my horror movies.
All right, there you go. What's the podcast? Maybe I need to check it out.
It's called Coming Soon Podcast. So it's on we have a Facebook page group that we started, and we have an IG page, we have a YouTube channel and a website. Uh Everything just getting started. We're working on closing a deal for our very own coffee. Um what else? Fright Snacks. That's also
Okay.
ours. We're sponsored by Fright Snacks, so we'll have our own movie snacks as well. So everything's going to really start to taking off. Probably this summer and fall.
Okay, okay. So after you get the victory, you can shout out your podcast and all that, man. That's a huge platform for you.
Yeah,
Perfect timing, man. Perfect
perfect
timing.
timing, bro.
Yeah,
Perfect.
man. UFC 288, man. Parker Porter. Thoughts on him and the fighting style?
I think Parker's a well-rounded guy. I think he's a tough guy. He's a big guy. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. I don't know him personally, but I respect him. I respect any fighter I step in there with. I think he's a game opponent. I think he's a good opponent for me. And I'm expecting nothing but his absolute best for sure.
You look back at some of his fights, man. He fights differently. I mean, he doesn't fight the same every single time. Sometimes he's there to bang with you. And like his last fight against Justin Tafa, he just went
Yeah,
straight forward, like straight car crash style.
yeah,
And then other fights, yeah, and Tafa was able to counter. And in other fights, he kind of was more calculated. Have you noticed that in his style?
my team's been watching a lot of his film.
Mhm.
Me personally, I wasn't going to start until probably this weekend when I
Okay.
actually got up to Jersey. But I did see the Chase Sherman fight, and I did see a few clips from his last one. But yeah, man, he does fight differently every time. I haven't really been able to check him out completely like I will be, like I am. But yeah, man, I'm expecting him to have some surprises and you know have it standing and may shoot in because I mean it's not a lot of footage on me and a lot of people they're going to think that I can't wrestle and he doesn't have the cardio. He's not going to be that explosive and powerful in the second and third round because he carries so much muscle.
Mhm.
He doesn't have the experience. So all of those things, they think that can work against me and be a weapon for them. That's cool. I understand it, but come next Saturday, they'll have to
Mhm.
really really see how hard it is. Everybody
Mhm.
says the same thing, and I know this is my biggest opponent, so everybody says the same thing. But man, you better not get hit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we see what happens when you hit people. The team, man. You mentioned that you fought, you know, training yourself for many of the fights. What's the team now? Who are the coaches? Who are your training partners?
So right now I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I'm training at Ohana HQ.
Mhm.
My head coach is Greg Paris. Training partner is Nick Whitehead. Assistant coach is Coach John. And so those are the guys that I've been kind of working with, and uh, a lot of other. Sorry if I don't know everybody else's name, but who's helped with rolling and everything else. But
Mhm.
uh, the whole Ohana team has been they opened me had me with open arms, and it's been nothing but cool vibes over there. But after this fight, I'll be moving back to Austin and finding a home team, a home gym, and a home team.
What are you expecting, man, out of yourself in this debut? You know what I mean? Everybody that will go back and check out your highlight reel, they know, you know what I mean? But for the people that don't know, what do you think you're gonna show them?
Man, I think I'm gonna show everybody in my debut that the UFC didn't make a mistake, and uh, that I'm tough. I'll be able to come in and give the fans what they want. That's my thing. It's been a fan favorite. I can't sit back and have fans spend money on expensive tickets and hotel rooms and gas and flights and come out here and get boring fights. So for anybody who doesn't know me, like, you're gonna get a great fight, and I'm coming in there to absolutely annihilate my opponents every time.
May 6th, UFC 288, New York, New Jersey. Make sure to go follow Braxton on social media. Thank you, man, for the time and all the best in your debut, man. I'm excited to see what you can do, man, in that octagon. And it's the big one, too. So you got room to move and shake and do what you do.
It's the man. It's the bit. You know what? I gotta shout out to my old organization, Peak, um,
Mhm.
because they have a really big cage, really big. Like they want to kind of get the guys ready for that next level. So uh, these past 5 fights, I've been fighting in a really big cage. So that's something that's also not going to be new to me as well. But it's definitely different. Like, this is like you said, this is the octagon. This isn't the Peak
Mhm.
cage. This is the octagon. So it's a huge difference, man. And the more room, the more I get to be more athletic and being balanced in my thing. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot better than that B2 Fighting Series cage. That was small. That was a small one.
it definitely will. It definitely will be better than
Yeah,
that one, and bigger
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure.